What's up, dudes? I just watched Titanic with Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, and I'm so fired up on it that I figure I have to give a synopsis. So here it is, the full-on synopsis of Titanic with Leonardo DiCaprio. Okay, so the movie starts out as any movie should start out, with Bill Paxton. Bill Paxton with a good tan. He's like an adventurer, and he's like scoping out the Titanic with like a submarine, a remote control, and he's just like recording himself. He's like, here we are at the Titanic. It's really fucking legit. And they find something. They find like a safe, and everyone's fired up, and he's fired up. He's like, it's payday, boys, you know, and they're pulling it up, and he's ready to cash in. And Bill Paxton he's the man. Okay, so then they open the safe, but there's like nothing in there except for like a piece of artwork, and Bill Paxton's like, oh yeah, great, yeah, like art, like it's not fucking diamond, you know. And so they're showing the painting on the news, and this super old lady like sees the painting on the news, and she's like, what? And so she calls Bill Paxton, and Bill Paxton's like, he's like, what? And she's like, hey, I'm Rose. He's like, yeah, what up, Rose? And she's like, that painting, that lady in the painting you see, that's me, playa. And he's like, oh crap. So, and then it's revealed that he's looking for this big diamond, and he's like, oh, maybe she knows where the diamond is. So he's like, come on board my ship, let's have a chat, I'll buy you dinner. And Rose comes on the ship, and Bill Paxton's like, tell us what's up. And so she's like, all right, I'll dive into my story. So then it cuts back to like whenever the Titanic existed, like the 1800s or something. And so we see all these people with like newspaper hats. Sick. Okay, so then we meet our main characters. Kate Winslet is boarding the Titanic with her husband, Billy Zane. And it's clear that they're not a match, you know? Like, he's like kind of like a rich fuckstick. And she's like kind of like, you know, I don't know who I am yet. And he's like, whatever, you know, like eat the lamb. I ordered it. I was in Zoolander, you know, like. And then we meet Leo, and Leo's playing poker with some dudes. And we realize that he's playing poker to win tickets onto the Titanic. And he wins the tickets, you know, amazingly. So he runs and he gets on the Titanic. Both characters are on the Titanic. Let's go. Okay, so Kate Winslet and Billy Zane are on the Titanic, and it's clear they're not a match. He's like, eat the lamb, and she's like, I'm vegetarian, and it's like, you know, totally not a match. So she gets all upset, and she starts running down the ship. She's like, I don't want this life, this sucks, you know? And Billy Zane's like, who has cigars? But Leo sees Kate, like, running, and she's in distress, and he starts talking to her. And he sees her like wanting to. She wants to jump off the ship and like kill herself. She's like, I don't want to live this life. And he's like, whoa, like, you know. But then he starts being smooth. He's like, well, if you go in, I'm gonna have to jump after you, you know. And she's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, it's just, you know, I gotta save you. But the water that cold. I'm from Wisconsin. The water's super cold, so it's really gonna suck. So yeah. So she almost falls off the ship, but Leo saves her, and everyone's like, what happened? And she's like, oh, Leo saved me. And Billy Zane's like, I'll have to invite you to dinner as a thank you for saving my fiance. And then we see Billy with Kate, and he's like, yo, look, I know you've been melancholy lately, but look at this diamond. It's fucking legit, right? And she's like, yeah, cool. Yeah, like, whatever. And he's like... So they go to dinner, and Leo's with them at dinner, and it's clear that Kate and Leo are hitting it off, and people are starting to notice a little bit, especially Billy Zane. They really hit it off at dinner, and Kate's like, socialite family loves Leo, except for her mom, who's like, you need to marry Billy because we need cash. So seeing that Kate has a yearning for sort of like a normal life, Leo takes her to a rager on the poop deck, and they're all getting down, dancing, and like spitting on each other and stuff. I don't know. But it looks super fun. So he takes her to that, and they're like clearly falling in love. But then Billy finds out and that she went to the rager, and starts to get all controlling on her, and he's just like, you can't do that. And it's rather uncouth, I'd say. And so Kate is so turned off by Billy that she's like, you know what? Later. And she goes finds Leo, and Leo's like, look, like, I love you. And she's like, all right, legit. So they start falling in love. She's like, and also Leo's like an artist. He loves to draw, you know, ladies. So she's like, Leo, I want you to draw me. And he's like, hell yeah. So he starts drawing a nude photo or drawing of her. It's like, I'm gonna be honest. I saw this movie when I was like, you know, 12. This is my favorite part of the movie. Or it was back then. Okay, so Leo's drawing her, and she's like in the nude, and it's like really intimate, you know. And then it cuts back to Bill Paxton hearing this story, and he's just sitting there, and he's just like, legit. So that they cut that, and then they cut right back to the Titanic, and Leo and Kate are really starting to get after it. You know, they find like a car in like the basement, and they bone, and it gets like literally steamy. Like it's the steamiest part of the movie, literally. But as they're getting down, disaster strikes. I mean, they're on the deck and they're making out, and like the two watchmen out. It's like at night, and they're like sailing through the water, and it's at night, and these two watchmen are just like watching them make out. They're like, nice, dude. This is really helping me get through this shift. But then they see that there's a friggin' iceberg, you know, dead ahead. And they're like, oh, crap. So they call them, they're like, iceberg? And they're like, right there? And they're like, yeah. And so they're like, all right, we got to like steer around it and shit. And it doesn't work, guys. They hit the iceberg, and everyone's like, ooh. I mean, they swipe it, and everyone's like, ooh, like close call, you know. But little do they know that, like, looks like it did some serious damage in the hull. And that's a boat term I just learned, and I was really excited to throw it out there. There was some serious damage done to the hull. Hull. So everyone's acting all nonchalant about what happened, but some people are starting to realize, like, they're like, dude, like, crap, this thing is about to sink. Meanwhile, Billy Zane found out a little about the two-person soiree that Kate and Leo had, and he's like, fuck you, dude. So he gets his like personal security guard to like lock Leo up in the basement, which is super bad because the boat's about to sink. So eventually everyone on the Titanic is like, they're like okay, I think we're in danger in this. So they start like loading up the lifeboats, but they're really kind of loading them up like a quarter, half the way. And just with like the first class people, like it's really, they don't know what's coming. So then Rose gets loaded up onto a lifeboat, but then she's like, no, what about Leo? And then she realizes that Leo is like in danger. He's locked up. So she like jumps back onto the ship. It's super cool. And she's like running around, and it's like a ticking time. It's a ticking clock, you know, because like the ship is starting to really sink. And so she goes to find Leo, and Leo's handcuffed to a pole, and she like uses an axe to like cut him out of the handcuffs. So she frees him, but then they like have a hell of a time trying to, you know, get to out of the fucking, you know, sinking boat. And so it's just a race against time at this point, and people are starting to realize, oh crap, this thing is gonna sink. And they're like, the captain's like, oh fuck, and then like the guy who like designed the ship, and he's like, double oh fuck. So it's looking pretty bad, but their love still is strong. So then we see like people are getting desperate, and all the like first class people get super selfish, and they like take places on the boats. Even Billy Zane like gets on a boat, you know, pretends he has a kid. Huge coward. Then the one guy from Richie Rich, the butler, he finagles his way onto a lifeboat, and he's just like, you know, you're like, dude, like, you know, fuck, like, come on, man. And the boat starts to really sink, and it starts like, you know, people are starting to like drown, and then the boat like gets like sucked up, and it's like in the water like that, and then it just breaks in half like that, and it's like a sort of like a Kit Kat bar, but it's a huge ship, and so it looks really gnarly. And then we see like Kate and Leo are still together, but they're in the water. She's on like a door, and they're just trying to stay alive so that they can, you know, keep their love going. It's really heart wrenching, and so Leo's hanging on, but he's freezing to death because it's in the middle of the Atlantic, and he's like, Rose, like, you're gonna, you know, make tons of babies, you know, and she's like, Jack, no, we're gonna make the babies, Jack. And then he's like, oh, and he dies, and he just like sinks, you know, and he's like, it's tough to see Leo die, even in movies, you know, like, because he's a man. But then Rose finds a rescue boat, and she gets on the rescue boat. Then it cuts back to Bill Paxton and Rose when she's like she's like way older, you know, she's telling the story, and everyone's just like, damn, dude, that was legit. And I was sitting there, and I was like, yeah, that was legit. All right, so that's it. That's my full-on synopsis of Titanic, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and Cool. I'll see ya.